Yeah. Look out your window. Knicks fans is on your block. Y'all know the Knicks run the city. Pull them shades back. Look out your window. Look down there on the block. That's Knicks fans right there. It's about that time. It's about that time of the week where you get ready for your work week with the man that is so smooth he does not require a chaser. Your main man, the real Anthony D. And your main man, Jersey's finest, the hood representative, Uncle Freezy. Yo, party people in the place to be. What's good? It's number one Chief Rock Knicks University, main man, Uncle Freezy, and welcome to Old School Knicks, the creation of the man that is so smooth he does not require a chaser. Anthony D is in the building. Salute, kind sir.
Good morning, Uncle Freezy. It's still not easy. Bim!
Bro, when you want to throw that exclamation point on something, just say bim. Like when nothing else coming, when you drop the mic, it's bim. Yeah, bim. Man. Salute everybody. Man.
Good morning. How we doing this morning? I feel like we on a fast-paced escalator.
Yeah, man. Listen, it's been a weird 24 hours for me, man. It's been a weird 24 hours for me. So, but those are my issues, man. Do you like old school music?
I'm so glad you mentioned that. Rest in peace to Frankie Beverly. You know, we lost another legend.
A legend.
And I was just playing something right before we got on, man. So that's the answer to that question. Rest in peace to Frankie Beverly, or part of Frankie Beverly and Maze. We always seem to forget the band that puts it down, you know, for him and so many others. But we lost a living legend, or no longer a legend. But, you know, that was one of my regrets through my life, is that I never saw him live.
Yeah, man.
Because everything I've seen on the tape concerts, that man it was an experience.
Yeah.
An absolute experience, man. So for those who've seen Frankie Beverly live, you know what I mean? Type it in the chat. Let us know what
let us know.
Yeah. What was it like?
I was not listening to Frankie Beverly and Maze. I was listening to Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Yeah. They had a song called "I Miss You," where that man legit put his heart into that song, bro.
And by that man, you mean Teddy Pendergrass?
Yeah, and the light skinned dude too. Let's throw the light the dude that was hitting the high notes. He put his heart into it, just not. You know,
he just wasn't Teddy P.
He just not Teddy P though.
He's not Teddy P. There's never been another Teddy P. There's been one or two people that's been interesting with that deep voice besides, you know, Teddy P. But there's never been another Teddy P.
Yeah, that baritone.
Yeah, that baritone is sick.
Yeah, man. Lou Rawls, Barry White.
Yeah.
Very
few.
Very few.
Very
Maybe for an instance, there was some Christopher Williams for an instance, but not very long. Some Will Downing for a little bit, but not, you know.
Well, Will Downing is a classic. Will Downing, you know, Will is more, to me at least, the voice is deep, but he's more of a crooner.
Yeah.
You know, Will can, you know, kind of set the stage for what the night is about to be, but in a little bit different way, not in that R&B vibe like that. Will was a little different, but but the results are going to be the same.
Yeah, a little jazzier.
Yes. I've seen Will live, because they still do the Wingate Park shows here in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen Will live at least once or twice.
Yeah.
And also salute to him, and but that vibe right there, you can't, when I imagine that it is extremely difficult to keep the individual artist's life in order.
Yeah.
So when you got a 10, 12 piece band, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen James Brown do this, right? Tell him, what you doing? And people think it's lyrics. He's talking to the band like you off.
Yeah.
And I can hear it. And he's talking to one, he's talking to one person.
Yeah. Right.
But I've seen Bob Marley do that.
Yeah.
And people think that it was, it's part of the act. No, he's talking to one or two people like, watch what you're doing was the quote with Marley, but it's got to be really difficult because they're trying to get across your sound. What first was developed in your head, and then you get to practice, and then you're like, all right, this is what I was thinking about, da 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 da. How you're now going to, put on wax what I was thinking all night long. Right. And then you have to trade ideas, because within music, some people can read music, right? Some people can't.
Right.
But how do you get the vibe, the energy across, like, in the instrumental?
Right.
Very tough. Very tough. Very, very tough. So when you got a band, it's different than when you're a solo artist. When you're a solo artist, someone kind of helps to, create what your situation is. But with the band, it's a lot tougher.
Right. And one of the things that make me laugh is, and this is not a you thing, it's a general thing. And one thing that makes me laugh is when people say the term solo artist. Like one person legit went in the studio and did everything by themselves. And you're like, oh, excuse me. Nah, that person went in and did everything by themselves. That person still had the same amount of people. It's just the singing part is probably the one thing they did. But man, when you see, bro, it's like when you watch the Jets play football. Right? When you watch the Jets play football, and people are like, man, I'm gonna buy me a Sauce Gardner jersey, right? Because Sauce is, man, when you see that, bro, you ever seen an NFL team pull up to an opposing stadium?
Yes.
Bro, they have like 2 tractor trailers.
Yes.
They got, bro, they have like.
You think the president is in town?
Yes.
Everybody.
Yes. I went to a place one time, and I'm gonna get back on point, but just to for what AD said, I went to a place one time, and where ABC News showed up, ABC Channel 7 showed up. It was at Liberty Park. ABC News showed up, and then NBC News showed up, and then CBS showed up. And they showed up in that order. And I say that because by the time CBS got there with their 3 tractor trailers full of stuff, the CBS people was walking around looking for places to put. You have never seen, like, nobody does anything by themselves, and I'm glad we're talking about that, because I want to talk about Jalen Brunson leading the Knicks to a championship. I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit. I don't want to dominate the conversation, but I did.
That was a nice core. That was a nice little segue into
that was on my mind.
JB.
That's what JB to the rescue, right? Oh, was it JB to something? James Brown had something.
James Brown has over 7,000 recordings. Okay,
so just pick one then.
Just pick one.
Oh, okay.
What's your favorite, JB?
Yo, my thing. The thing is, I've been told for the last 3 weeks ago, or 3 weeks or so, by numerous Knicks fans, that now that we have Jalen Brunson, we're a championship contender. And JB,
We gonna do.
and and then so the thing is, what I've been told is now that we have Jalen Brunson, we're championship
Freezy,
contenders, right? And
you froze up a little bit, Freeze, and you're still freezing. Uncle Freezy's freezing. Well, Uncle Freezy's freezing. Let me say salute to the chat. I see my man Danny Landis is in the building. Freezy, I don't know if you Freezy, you're freezing. All right. Until Freezy gets back into regular scheduled programming and so forth.
on if Julius Randle, am I?
Uncle Freezy, you are totally going in and out. Okay. All right. Freezy's going to fix his situation and get back with us. But while we are here, I believe the where he was going with this is how important it is for Jalen Brunson, to lead us to where we're going. I see we're backing as him. You threw me off with that emoji.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Freeze.
And so I'm having a tech issue, man, with the computer. So okay. I'm in on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing I was getting at was, before the internet so rudely interrupted me, was now that we have Jalen Brunson, we're a championship contender. And then when asked about what could hold us back, about 20 or 25 people that I talked to via text or telephone say, well, it's up to Julius Randle. Julius Randle got to perform in the playoffs. Right? And so my thing is how do we have it in a way where one guy is flawless and can do no wrong, and the other guy is, if everything goes wrong, we're going to blame him? And I don't understand it.
It's kind of like, and I'm not going to segue too far into this, but it's kind of like when A-Rod first came to the Yankees and Jeter, the captain, is here. You understand? Everything kind of just went totally shifted to, well, what are you going to do, A-Rod? We know what Jeter can do. What are you going to do?
Right.
But the thing is, we don't fully know what Brunson can do in that championship space because he hasn't been to the finals here. We just have a great feeling.
Right.
And a lot of it to the Randle thing, it stems from when he first got here. I'm not the biggest Julius Randle fan, but I'm not going to disrespect the man that is two-time All-NBA.
Three-time All-NBA.
Two-time All-NBA, three All-Star appearances. Yep. He's just building to his resume, to his legacy.
Yeah.
And it stems from there. It's like we just can't wait. We just want him to. We want to fast forward the season, get to the champion, get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then perform. It doesn't work like that. Like I said, he's not my favorite Knick or my favorite ball player, but I realize how important he is. When I say he, I don't mean just him on court. I mean him as far as if we're going to make another move, are we moving him to get that piece that the organization may think that will lead us there? So him in its totality. And it's not fair. It really isn't, but this is kind of what you signed up for when you took, the check from the Knicks. Multiple now.
Yeah, see that's where I have a little bit of frustration with the fan base, because Julius Randle right now is not the highest paid player, nor is he the captain. Right? And so instead of putting the blame on the person that says, hey, I'm your leader, we're talking about Julius Randle. Like, one player legit accepted being the captain of the team. So when things fail, to say that it's on Julius, to me sounds like
Hey,
shade.
say it.
Shade.
Hey, shade. He's just not a lot of people's cup of tea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for those people, if you're continuing to have that same conversation with them, it's like, dude, you gotta change your line.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta do something else because there's a long season. You can't give him credit for every win and then blame him for every loss.
Right.
You know, something goes wrong, like Julius Randle. No, that's just not fair.
Yeah.
If your critique is fair and within the conversation, that's what's going on at the time, that's something different. But if you're just waiting for something to go wrong, it's like, oh, it was Julius.
Yeah.
I knew it. He kissed his wife. He kissed his wife after the playoff game. I knew it. He kissed his wife after the game. Right?
Yeah.
And people got a problem with that. Kissed his wife before the game. People got a problem with that. He's just never gonna please some people. And that's
and the people that say that, ironically, are the people that never win. You notice the people that win don't criticize like that. The people that lose always find something to point out about somebody else who didn't win. Right? Which is peculiar. Like, you notice Charles Barkley is the biggest critic out there. Right? He's the biggest critic out there, but you don't hear Magic criticizing everybody every chance he get. You don't hear Michael Jordan criticizing players every chance he get. Not on the microphone anyway. You know, it's just it seems like the guys that were close but no cigar are the ones that are always criticizing. But my thing about Randall and Jalen Brunson is that first of all, if the criteria is a great player that get paid a lot of money should be criticized, then we need to start the conversation with OG Anunoby, who I love, by the way. OG Anunoby is my guy, but in fairness to the conversation, OG Anunoby is a great player. That's the Knicks' highest paid player right now. And I know people don't want to criticize OG. People are like, yo, what did OG Anunoby do to you? Nothing. The conversation lends itself to going in that direction. If we're saying that a great player that gets paid the most money should be held to a certain standard, then OG Anunoby is that guy. Right? And then on the opposite end of that, if you want to point at somebody that you shouldn't expect anything from, it should be Mitchell Robinson. Because Mitchell Robinson is a great player on a very cheap contract. And some of the criticism about Mitchell Robinson to me is unfair. Now, is there a thing, man, Mitch, you got to show some type of improvement in some area, Mitch. That part is fair. But when Knicks fans say, hey, you know what, Mitchell Robinson, you missed too many games. You're always hurt, right? You can't shoot free. All of that stuff is, how can you argue?
Fair, more than fair. It's facts.
Right? How can you argue that? Right? But I guess the point overall that I'm getting at is just like those singing groups from those soul groups from the 70s, like AD and I just talked about at the beginning of a show. No matter how great one person in the group is, everybody in the group has to perform at a high level in order for the group to succeed.
Yeah. Because there are times when, you've gone to shows, I've gone to shows where we mentioned it, where we think they had a great show. They walk off the stage and it conflict in the group.
Yeah.
This person might not have liked how that person played the sax. The lead singer might be thinking that, the bass, you're playing the bass too loud. You're stepping on my vocals. We as the crowd might thought, oh my God, that was a phenomenal show.
Right.
But internally, it may not be seen that way because of group dynamics. But to the point of how fans can just pick someone out and just be like, well, you're the problem, you're the only problem, and that's just not fair to your argument.
Right.
But again, it's not that I want to let these guys off of the hook, so to speak, but those two guys that you mentioned, Julius, or those three, Julius, Mitch, and OG, the spotlight is kind of on them.
Right.
You know, and it's fair and not fair.
Fair and not fair. Fair and not fair. Yeah.
Yeah, because the goal is to win the championship. And if one, two, or all of you are not pulling your weight, should we not call it out? This is Mitch going into his 7th season.
7th season. Yeah.
He's yet to average 30 minutes a game.
Yet to average 10 points a night.
Yet to average 10 rebounds a night.
Yet to average 10 rebounds.
We could pick at these things, but what we're really trying to say is that if you were available, you'd be getting better, and those numbers may be more important. Right. They may be getting better, and they may be more important.
Right.
That's fair.
Right. And being a 2nd-round pick can't be an excuse. Because Jalen Brunson is a 2nd-round pick.
It's a lot. Joker is a 2nd-round pick.
Joker and is a 2nd-round pick. So
a lot of guys are 2nd-round picks.
Yeah. It just all it means is you wasn't picked in the top 30. That's all it means.
Yeah. But the next thing is you should be getting better at this stage of your career. He came in at what, 18, 19, so now you're 25.
Right.
25, 26.
Right.
You're entering your prime years, especially for a big. All right, especially for a big. Yeah. You should be getting better. Yeah. You know, if you're not playing 30 minutes a game, it shouldn't be because you're not available to play 30 minutes a game. It should be a coach's decision. Yeah. And then we can find with the coach, well, why are you not playing? Well, why is he not playing? And then the coach will be able to tell you, well, you know what? He's only effective between here and there. Yeah.
Anything outside of that, we risk injury. That's what a lot. Yeah, for Mitch, anything outside, anything close to 30 minutes a night, we're really skating on thin ice. Like, you know.
And that's really hard. That's really hard to fathom, at least for me. Because 25, you can't play 30 minutes a night, uber athletic, you know.
Yeah.
That's, come on.
And not to get away from the original point I made about how everybody is culpable, right? But Mitch is entering the conversation of a top 5 Knicks center of all time. He's entering that conversation, right?
Really?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. We can't include. There are some guys that played center here that you can't include in the conversation because they didn't play here long enough. Like Bob McAdoo. Like,
he's no Bob McAdoo.
Oh, what's the guy that replaced McAdoo? No, he ain't Bob McAdoo. But trust me, Bob McAdoo is no Mitchell Robinson on defense either. Let's make that abundantly clear.
Okay.
Let's keep it a stack.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. But you're gonna take what he gives you on offense, you know, for his lackluster, because he's also giving you 15 rebounds.
Yeah, but a layup line at the rim. Yeah, but it's what it is. It is
what it is. Let me make another comparison. How about Mitch versus Tyson Chandler? Fair? Tyson would play what, 4 years?
No, that's not fair. Tyson Chandler is so much better than Mitch. And no disrespect to Mitch. But Tyson Chandler would whip out like a 25 rebound game occasionally. And you'll be like, wow, that dude's getting everything.
I think he had 3 or 4 in a row, if memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, man.
Like I think he had 3 20s in a row or 4 20s in a row. Something like that.
Yeah. I think, was it the year he won Defensive Player of the Year?
It might be. It might be. I totally forgot he won Defensive Player of the Year. Oh my God, how could I forget that?
Yeah, man.
I
Tyson,
totally forgot that. But that
Tyson.
would be because their games are similar.
Yeah.
In the sense of it's a lot of picks, screens, dives, catch, alley oop,
Right.
defending side to side, blocking
Mhm.
shots. Both of them are excellent shot blockers.
Yeah.
Both of them could run. Both of them are uber athletic.
Both of them had the average to below average point guard playmaking play at point guard.
Well, he had. I mean, Tyson Chandler had Chris Paul early.
No, I'm talking about with the Knicks. With
the Knicks. Oh, okay. Well, all right.
Just with the Knicks. I'm talking about just the Knicks window. Just that.
All right. Well, he had Lynn. He did. Damn.
He had Jeremy Lin.
Damn.
By me, bro.
How fast we forget Linsanity. Oh my God. Wow. That was a shot. You talk about that man like he's delivering you Chinese food. Can you stop it? Linsanity had a good to great moment here.
Was it a moment though? Was it a moment? I think it was less than that.
It was a moment. It was a moment. You know why it's a moment? Because it's still all of those games are still the highest rated games in Knicks history, including the finals.
Including the finals, yeah.
Including the championship winning finals.
Yeah.
Now I know, audience viewership is different and so forth, but as the years have gone on, I mean, all of it, 80s, 90s, 2000s, Linsanity's games were the highest rated games.
Yeah.
So it was a moment. It was a moment of excitement.
Yeah.
It was a moment of betrayal.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
We forget that. And I saw Mello on his podcast, he didn't talk about betrayal part. I'm throwing that in because I saw it as betrayal of him to the Knicks. Because when he gets hurt and his agent and the people around him are telling him, "Yo, we got this Volvo deal here, about to lock it up. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And when they asked him point blank, like, I think going into the playoffs or something like that, maybe like a week or two, and he was at 80 or 85%.
Yeah.
Every NBA player wishes to enter the playoffs at 80 to 85%.
Yeah, I think that was a miscalculation on his part about even saying that. He probably wasn't 80, 85%. He's probably just, I think that's a classic misstep. Sometimes you should just say, if I can go, I'll go. If I can't, I can't. Right. But
was he being honest?
I don't think he was. I think he was bro, young people make a lot of mistakes, bro.
True.
Young people make a lot of mistakes, man. And so I don't hold that against him. Right? Because the human element reminds me that before he got a chance to prove himself, Katz was just looking at him being an Asian kid and saying, "You just here because you're the Asian kid. If you was another black guy, you wouldn't even be here." Right? And nothing could be further from the truth. Jeremy Lin was an NBA player. Jeremy Lin could play, right? But people look at him like, man, yeah. And I'm not saying this to be racist. So listen, when I say this, don't take this as me being racist. Take this as me bringing up a point about how we feel when we see people that are different from us. Like they saw Jeremy Lin, they probably looked at him and like, yeah, he can't play basketball and he can't drive. That's probably what they were saying when they saw Jeremy Lin, right? That's probably what they saw. Like, but Jeremy Lin Jeremy Lin
we are not going down this rabbit hole here today because it is steep.
Yeah, but the thing is, the thing is with that is that was the society that we lived in. Some people say we still live in it now. I'm not one of those people, right? I'm one of those people that's give peace a chance. I'm that person, right?
All we're saying,
give peace a chance. That's me, right? But the thing is though with Lynn is if he chose not to risk his career, I don't blame him because he only had a career because he got a moment. He got one moment, and his story could have been that of Torrey Murray, right? Torrey Murray also had a moment where you're like, whoa, we just found our next Michael Ray Richardson almost, right? And then in the blink of an eye, his whole life changed. He gone just like that. People don't even remember Torrey Murray played point golf, and people don't even remember that, but they remember Linsanity.
But when I speak of betrayal, Freezy,
okay,
I'm not just talking about. Well, I'm not. I wasn't looking at that per se, but I was just putting that into the totality of his moment here. When I speak of betrayal, I'm talking about when after the season, and he met with Melo and Woody.
Okay.
I don't know why they had to meet. I don't know why they felt like Melo wasn't on board with him and so forth because, you know, I remember back then the word was Melo was the one that was like kind of like, hey, give him a chance. Because if you remember our point guard situation at that time, we had Bibby ended his career.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Tony Douglas, who wasn't a real point guard.
Langston Galloway.
Was Langston on the team? I don't think Langston was on that team.
Okay.
I don't think Langston was on that team. There's another one that I'm not remembering, but the point guard for the Knicks at the time, it was a sham. It was in shambles.
Yeah.
And then once he took over, you know, we already talked about what happened, you know, was like a serious comment. I'm talking about after the season. After the season when they met and so forth, it looked like they were reporting a contract was here. They just needed to be signed. I'll never forget. I was in Vegas at the time, you know, going to see or thinking I was going to see practice and watch Eddie Curry and blah, 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 blah. I'm not even going to go back there.
Right.
But it was Friday. He's going to sign. I was there. I was in Vegas for like 6 days, I think.
Okay.
And every day when I turned on ESPN or what, it was kind of like, okay, here it comes. He's going to sign. When I got on the plane to come back to New York, he still hadn't signed. That Monday morning, breaking news. This man is on his way to Houston.
Yeah.
For basically the same money, but I think Houston had thrown a poison pill of somehow where they kind of really
the money wasn't the same.
But I think Houston up fronted a lot of his contract.
Yeah.
And the Knicks was like, nah, F that, we ain't doing that. And once he did that, Dolan was like, you know what? We're never showing any of your games ever again.
Right.
I think they might have just started showing some, you know, I haven't watched MSG in a minute outside of the Knicks games, but someone can tell me in the chat do they still show his games. But I remember at one point for a good 10 years, they refused to show any of the games.
Right.
You know, so that's the betrayal I'm speaking about.
The Knicks should have resigned. The Knicks should not have let this thing get that far down the road, in my opinion.
But I think him and his people, because remember, his popularity, it was like the only thing I've seen close to it was Fernando with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
You remember Fernando in that strike season with the Dodgers?
Fernando Mania, 81.
It was sick. That was the
Mania.
only thing I've seen like that in a short span. But the only difference was Fernando was the real deal going forward. Jeremy Lin, the best of Jeremy Lin was those 7 games in that. Look, the NBA was trying to circumvent the All-Star game because they wanted him to be an All-Star. Do you remember that?
I remember that. Yeah. I remember that.
Jay, this man that only played 7 great games. And don't get me wrong, they were 7 scintillating games.
Fantastic, bro.
I saw something one day, and there's one a few times I've been totally lockstep with Kenny Smith, where they had on graphics comparing his 7 games to wait for it, your favorite, Walt Clyde Frazier. I almost fell off the chair.
You know I love Clyde Frazier.
I almost fell off if I hadn't spent so much money for my then 50-something inch TV, I'd have broken it. Like, are you mad?
No,
you're comparing this man's 7 games to an icon?
Icon, bro.
A living legend? This is the disrespect that we're... So when I'm talking about betrayal, I'm talking about these people were comparing you to Walt. And you just walked out the door. You're not welcome anymore. Right? Gone.
Am I frozen again?
Well, yeah, your own screen is frozen, but we can hear your voice. So just keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. But okay, that's what we're talking about when I'm talking about the betrayal. And Knicks fans, tell me if I'm wrong. Allah says Lin was trash every year. He was all right.
Lin wasn't trash.
He wasn't trash, but he never got that essence ever again. And I don't think he ever really wanted it again. Because when he came back with the Nets, they kind of came in through, the back door kind of sort. There was no hoopla. He had gotten dreads and, new tattoos, and he seemed like a whole different person. It seemed like there's that Lin Sandy was like 10 years ago, but it really was only like 2 or 3.
Yeah, and so the thing with Lin is this. Let's not forget, when it comes to contracts with the Knicks and Knicks players, there's always contention. We're going through contention right now. Cats are like talking about they wouldn't mind trading Randall because Randall ain't signed an extension yet. They're talking about Randall Randall got to take less money, man, because bro, every time there is a contract situation with the Knicks, bro, Scott Layden moved on from Latrell Sprewell over $3 million. And it's not like $3 million, and it's not like $3 million a year. This is $3 million over 3 years. Right? And you like, and Spree is like, yo, I'll meet, bro. It's $1 million. Yo, how am I feed my family off this? And in the Knicks meeting, and they ran. Oh, you can't feed your family on $7 million. First of all, just because your contract says 3 years, $21 million, you're not getting $21 million. You're going to pay the 51%, whatever tax, right? And then there are people to support off of that, right? And Pat Ewing demanded a trade over contract talks. Clyde Frazier was traded to Cleveland, Ohio, because he was on the other side of 30. He was at 30 and contract stuff, right? Jeremy Lin and contract Carmelo. And we don't remember Carmelo Anthony in the Knicks contract stuff. The thing is, I think as fans, we're quick to jump on the side of the organization with this stuff. All the organization had to do was just take care of that man. Like Jay, we ain't gonna let you get to free agency, bro. Listen, go find a dollar amount, and we'll try to compensate you based on it, right? Because at the end of the day, the Knicks had dudes on the roster making Jeremy Lin money, and they were trash.
Yeah, but okay, Freezy, but some of your nuances is a little off. Remember, Lin was, I think he was a 2nd round pick when did Golden State pick him?
No, he was undrafted.
It was undrafted, right?
Yeah.
So there's only a certain amount of money that he could make with the NBA rules at that time.
Okay.
There's only a certain amount that the Knicks could give him. So when I go back to the poison pill situation, I remember Houston when with their contract situation, they kind of, front loaded the deal. But to your point, the Knicks could have signed him in season.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
but if his people are saying, hold on, you're only getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Let's see what else could be out there. He's gonna side with his people, which he did. I'm a fan, so when I lose a good player that I don't think we should have lost, whatever, and if I think at the time that the organization, because at that time, remember, the organization had brought in Melo, they had brought in Stoudemire, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like they had crap, they had dreams of doing big things. So I don't want to lose what I thought could have been, a major piece to that. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't look at it that the organization was doing him bad necessarily. I look at it on the flip side. I'm like, one of the few times I thought Dolan was in pocket. We offered you something. We thought we had a deal. All of a sudden, over the weekend, we no longer have a deal.
So the part AD is talking about is basically in year one, the Knicks wanted to pay Len $5 million.
Right.
In year one of the deal, he made $8 million.
Yes.
The Knicks couldn't go over $6 million.
They couldn't do it.
They couldn't go over $6 million, right? And then we were frustrated that Len took more money in the first year than he would have made in the second and third year. See, because in the second and third year, the Knicks could have paid more money than the Rockets were willing to pay, right? Right. And so it didn't work out for Len because at the same time that they signed Len, they had just acquired James Harden. And this is when they were calling him Chef Harden. When he was cooking, we didn't know cooking was a term. We didn't know chef was a term. James Harden going to Houston at the same time of this was the unfortunate event for Jeremy Lin, right? But at the same time, all the Knicks had to do was pay that man $5 million in the first year and offer that man $10 million in year 2 and 3, and we wouldn't even have this conversation.
I don't think he really wanted it, Freezy. Remember that hoopla around him while he was still living on a teammate's couch or his cousin's couch, and
his brother-in-law,
he couldn't predict that. He couldn't. All of a sudden, he can't walk down the street anymore. I don't think my personal opinion, I thought Houston, let's say it wasn't Houston. Let's say it was somebody else. Anybody else who had shown that kind of interest, that was ready to pony up those kind of dollars, I thought he would have left. Because it was a lot. It really and truly was a lot. He went from being a nobody to all of a sudden, he's one of the most recognizable faces on the planet. Not in America, on the planet.
We gotta relax, bro. Houston, Texas is not Yonkers, bro.
No, I'm not saying that. No. I'm saying anybody.
It's a top 10 city.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Right? And they have an Asian population there.
Absolutely.
They embrace the Asian player because they had already had somebody that broke through with them and was a star.
Absolutely. But no other sports town, maybe outside of Boston, has that kind of day-to-day intensity. Right? Was he going to be a megastar the way he became a megastar in Houston as in New York? No way, no how.
Yeah. Because you don't become megastars in New York, bro. You got to be. New York historically is you become a megastar somewhere else, and then you come here and help the team win.
But he became a megastar here.
It's rare. It's rare in New York sports to have a megastar be born in the city and deal with all the pressure on a day-to-day basis and become a Hall of Fame caliber player. That's rare.
It is.
You rarely see a Derek Jeter.
It's the best of the best.
Yeah, it's just like
best of the best.
Rarely, it's the reason why the Jets never have a quarterback, right?
We do now, baby.
Seriously though, serious. It's the reason why you rarely see Mets prospects develop into Derek Jeter or Reggie Jackson, right? It's the reason why the Islanders never have the best player in the NHL, and they are on the island too, by the way, or were on the island. I don't know where they play at now, but it's the reason why teams adjacent to the city, like the Nets, could go get stars because they are adjacent to the spotlight. They're like by the spotlight, but they're not under it, right? And even Brooklyn over the years, even Brooklyn / New Jersey / whatever they were, New
Long
York
Island.
yeah. Even them, they rarely draft a guy and then that guy be the best player or a top 10 player in the sport, right? It's because the intensity in New York is crazy. It'll gobble you up, and we all know this because we've seen it with our own eyes. We've seen the Alfonso Sorianos out of nowhere, right? Come up through an organization, be a great, and then the intensity is like, yo, why y'all putting so much? Bro, I hit 39 home runs. I stole 38 bases. I batted 288, and y'all talk about my defense?
That man was a monster. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
What else do you... Yo,
Woo.
I mean, what else do you remember Alfonso Soriano?
Absolutely. That man should have had the game-winning home run against Arizona when he dusted it off Schilling in the top of the ninth, baby.
Yep.
And one of the few times that, and I'm not even going to speak about that man's name and greatness in any kind of whatever, but we know what happened, so I'll just leave it at that. But Soriano was,
you remember Homer Bush?
Absolutely.
You remember Homer Bush? The infield was supposed to be Soriano at third, Jeter at short, Homer Bush at second, right? But bro, you're talking about the spotlight of the city, and that's why I'm saying with Jeremy Lin, I think it's unfair to Lin to say that his departure was just about Lin not wanting to be a Knick. I think that's unfair.
What was I saying was it was so heavy at that time, the pressure, everything, the expectations from where he was coming from. I thought it was a lot easier. He found a better alternative for him and for what he was. Not everybody's trying to win a championship, Freeze. Not everybody wants to win a championship here, a la LeBron.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? I'm not knocking him. I guess I am knocking him, but what my point is, he just took a route that was a lot quieter, where the expectations wasn't going to be on a day-to-day like it is here, especially at that time.
Hey, did other athletes do that? Have other athletes chosen not to deal with New York?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely, it's not for everybody.
If it's a standard industry practice, then it don't bother me.
Well, I don't think it's well. I'm never going to buy into the standard. I didn't believe that. I didn't when Cats was talking about, cats don't want to come here and blah 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 blah. I'm like, all right, but those are the wrong type of cats. Those are the kind of cats that we don't want. We shouldn't have wanted here in the first place. Because if you're looking from the city from afar, and you can't see the greatness, you can't see the light somewhere you are, then guess what? You blind, homie. You blind to the fact.
Shout out to Flavor Flav.
So we know if it's not for you, it's not for you. It's okay. Somebody else will come and sit in that seat. Somebody else will want to be captain.
Somebody else will want to cash the check. Somebody else
at your position.
Yeah, somebody else will play 29 games and be in street clothes, but cash the check every Friday. That's what we had been dealing with. That's for that reason. How
many games did Lin play here?
Oh, not many.
He played less than 50.
Yeah, he played less than 50. Right? He played less than 50. But we can't say that or I'm gonna be more empathetic to Lynn because he played less than 50 and he went out on the open market and got the biggest check. Meanwhile, OG Anunoby played less than 50. He stayed here and made the Knicks pay him. Right? OG Anunoby played less than 50 games with the Knicks, and the Knicks legit just ponied up. So basically, what I'm getting at is, I think it's a new era. There is a new era of what's to what we can expect from the Knicks going forward. Right? The players are going to want to be here and play for the Knicks because the organization has changed.
But we're also not desperate enough, we're also not desperate enough to where something like that can rise and take hold and take off, right? We forget at that time, Freezy, a large part, I don't know how I calculate that, but a good part of the Knicks fan base at that time had turned their backs on Melo. Melo, who had just moved heaven and earth to get here the previous year.
Yeah.
Remember that? When he hurt his ankle, during that Jeremy Lin's run, that early part of the run, Melo had a severe ankle sprain. I think he was out for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? Or something like that. And every time they spoke to him, well, Carmelo, how do you plan on, on interjecting yourself into how things are going now? And like, you kept pushing this point. Like, Melo's 26, 27 points a night wasn't good enough because he wasn't getting it done the way how they thought it would get done. And people forgot that Lynn was playing a high pick and roll game where he was ball dominant. Right. The same thing that they were accusing Melo of being ball dominant from the point guard position. He was ball dominant, but because we were winning, it was fine. And Freezy, you froze again.
I know.
But it's fine. We can roll with it, right? You see what I'm saying? It was just so a good part of the people was just all of a sudden that turned their backs on Melo because they didn't like his style of play, and that's basically what it came to. They didn't like his style of play, but they were pining after a young man who said he was 80 to 85% and he could not play. The same young man, when they played against Miami on national TV, the first 2 or 3 times, Mario Chalmers stripped him. He could not bring the ball up the court against a professional NBA team that was the top of the top.
Right.
Melo had to be coming back to get the ball. I don't know if people remember that game. They took him out of the game.
Right. And but you know what though? That's one of the things that I point to, that as a basketball aficionado, that wasn't just on Lynn. Who was in the backcourt with Jeremy Lin?
Shumpert.
They call it a backcourt because guards play in tandem.
Right. With Shumpert.
They are supposed to play in tandem, and if you see that man can't bring the ball up the floor against pressure, maybe they saw something on tape. They probably did. They knew he couldn't go left, right? He was a right hand dominant. So you just sit on that right hand and make him go left, and he hadn't developed that, right?
Not yet.
Yeah, and so they saw that on tape and forced that man to go left, and he couldn't do it. And so, but instead of the other guard coming up the floor to assist, they let that man struggle, and they watched that man. They sat there and watched, right? And so that's one of those things. Like, is that a Lynn issue or is that a team issue? That's a coaching issue. Get the ball up the floor. What are you doing? You see that man struggling? Yes. Don't let that man struggle out there, man. Because if he can't do it, they're going to continue to put that pressure on him all game.
Yes. And
they did.
But we were just so excited, Freezy. We were so excited about the win streak, his game, the energy he brought, the new fan base that was, all of a sudden was a part. Because I was rolling through for my job, it's like through the lower parts of Manhattan and upper parts of Manhattan, they were having watch parties.
Yeah.
Serious watch parties for Jeremy Lin, right? But they had forgotten that he's hit as exciting as his game was, he had shortcomings within his game, that he is not an all NBA ball player.
Right.
You had an all NBA ball player on your team, and you were ready to toss him overboard for this man.
You gotta admit though, seeing Amari Stoudemire and Tyson Chandler in offense, you gotta admit, just seeing all of a sudden Tyson Chandler's catching lobs, finishing plays. Like, we didn't know. We knew Tyson Chandler was a rim runner, right? But we didn't know that we could get this if all we had was a distributor. You know what I'm saying? So
that's not Melo's fault.
No, that's not. No, I'm not blaming Melo.
Oh, okay.
I'm not blaming Melo. I'm not blaming Melo for that. I'm saying what I'm saying is that the fact that you saw Jeremy Lin had an impact on others. And listen, and it's not just him scoring. The Knicks were rejuvenated with Jeremy Lin.
Yes, they were.
Not just the players, not just the coaching staff, but the entire organization.
Yes.
Was NBA was rejuvenated with Jeremy Lin.
Yes.
Right? So it's one of those things where I'm not knocking Melo. I think Melo is a great person. I think Melo is a great human being. Right, his number should be retired. So he's up for Melo's up for the Hall of Fame. 2026, I think it is, or 2027. 2020. As soon as he makes the Hall of Fame, the Knicks need to retire 7. Right, as soon as they do it, I would do it sooner. But you know how the Knicks are. They still hadn't retired 30. So you already know how.
I don't know. Are we retiring 7 for 6 years? 3.5, very good. 2.5, not so good.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You absolutely got it.
Okay.
Because
I'm a Melo guy. So okay, you ain't got to convince me. Okay.
Because what Melo brought is beyond basketball.
So if we retire Melo, are we retiring Larry Johnson though?
Is Larry Johnson did Larry Johnson contribute like Melo did?
Larry Johnson helped us to get to a 99 finals.
He helped. Yeah, he helped.
And to your point of one man can't
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Did we also not get to another Eastern Conference Finals the following year?
Charles Smith helped us in 94.
Oh, okay. All right. But he only played here 2 years. 2.5 years.
2.5? Was it 2.5?
Yeah, 2.5 years. He was only here 2.5 years.
Yeah. My thing with I'm not gonna say once a Knick, always a Knick. I always felt like that was. Always felt like that
cliche.
I've always felt like that was soft, right? Like we talking about once a Knick, always a Knick, and then there are some Knicks you hate, like Charles Smith. Like, why do you hate on Hoodie Kev? Still hates John Starks to this day. I love John Starks, right? But John Starks is the epitome of what a Knick should be, right?
Yes.
Yeah, play your hardest, play through your mistakes, contribute to the community, be available, be a fan of the organization when you're not here.
I want to remind you something in this correlation to Lynn, and I like how you just segued there. John Starks had a knee injury in 1994 that should have kept him out the rest of the year.
For the season, yep.
For the season.
Yep.
He came back.
Yep.
He came back. There was no talk about John. You already made the All-Star game. And John, and John. The first time I'd seen anybody on court, camera on, point to the Knicks across the chest and make his stain marks on it was John Starks.
John Starks.
Because he loved this organization, and he's not even from this city. He's from Oklahoma.
He's from Oklahoma. Yeah.
Right? But we adopted him. He adopted us. You think if they had asked John Starks some nonsense like, well, John, you're You're only 85%. Can you go? He might have smacked somebody.
He might have smacked some, bro.
Right? Yeah. That knee injury, people forget that playoff run. His knee is shattered. Grade 2. His knee is shattered.
Yep.
But all we can talk about and think about is 2 for 18.
Yeah.
So I'm saying we pick and choose who we want to say, well, the pressure was whatever. The pressure wasn't. John Starks has to walk around this city today, and I'm sure there's still some sniveling, snide remarks behind his back, maybe even to his face. Well, John, right here, 2 for 18. Did Lynn even give you a 1 for 9 in the playoffs?
No.
Did he buy a ticket to the playoffs? Does anybody remember him on the bench in the playoffs? Because we did make the playoffs that year.
Yeah.
But on whose back? Carmelo Anthony.
Great point. And as we wrap up, I also want to point out the fact that even when that 99 team was on their playoff run and guys were walking to the bench, they were wounded. That 99 team was wounded, right? And we still made it to the finals through clutch performances and things of that sort. There was a game where we were down, had our heads down, and we were wondering why we should even be here, man. People are hurt. Houston and Sprewell can't carry the team by themselves, right? And they took a shot at John Starks in a suit, standing in the tunnel, rooting for the Knicks as he was actively a Golden State Warrior, right? John Starks was there rooting for the Knicks. And when they showed Starks in the tunnel, the garden erupted. And so even though Starks was a member of another organization, that man's heart was still in New York.
You remember the first time he came back when they introduced him? I almost cried.
Bro.
I almost cried.
Bro,
when he stood up and he had the all even and he just stood up and he waved to the crowd. I almost cried because there was never a Knick who wanted to win more than that man in my era, in my time.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't talk no bull crap that he wasn't ready to play. Suit him up, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
Suit him up.
Yep.
There's levels to this.
And he had the same disdains you had for other organizations. Like every time the Knicks played Chicago, Starks was ready. Every time the Knicks played Indiana, you knew Starks was ready. Every time now, and I don't know, and this is a very underrated thing, and maybe you have to be an old fogey like myself, but there was a young expansion team that had disdain in their heart for they hated us, and they always came after our neck, no matter how bad we were playing, how good we were playing, or how bad they were playing, or how good they were playing. They always showed up. It's an organization called the Charlotte Hornets, and they had a 4-guard rotation, right? They had I think Eddie Johnson, Kendall Gill, Del Curry, Muggsy Bogues. And I forget who the other guard. They had another point guard.
Shooting guard. I think he came from Atlanta. Oh my God.
Not Bobby Fields. I'm not talking about Bobby Fields.
Okay. No, I'm thinking Fields.
I'm talking about they had another point guard. They had another point guard they had. Was it? I don't know why I'm thinking point guard, and then Hersey Hawkins is in my mind, but Hersey Hawkins wasn't a point guard. But anyway, Charlotte legit would come for our throat. They could have lost 8 in a row, but when they got to the Garden, they were like coming for our neck, and it had nothing to do with basketball, bro. It had everything for their dislike for the Knicks, right? And Starks would just put out their fire by himself. Whoever was their hot shooting, scoring backcourt person, we would just put out. You remember Alonzo Mourning with Charlotte? You remember those days?
Absolutely. I remember Alonzo Mourning wanted to be traded here.
Yeah, I remember Alonzo Mourning wanted to be traded here too.
And he said so recently on the podcast.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, yes, he did. I think it was on the Up and Smoke podcast. He said in that off season, he called Pat. Because, they used to go up to the hill, back to Georgetown. For those who know, when you go up the hill to Georgetown.
Yeah.
And Pat was like, nah, go to Miami. Riley will be good for you. He was ready to come here.
Yeah.
The Knicks had rumored Oakley, Starks, and whoever else, and they were ready to do it.
Yeah.
Miami didn't want to part with Glenn Rice.
Yeah. A very underrated scorer.
In the last minute, Mourning could have still steered it to the Knicks, but when it came down, Pat was like, all right, I'll put Glenn in the deal. Yeah. And they was like, what you want to do? He's like, all right, I'll go to Miami.
Yeah. Just real quick before we get out of here, I want to put a rock in your shoe. The Knicks have a rookie named Pacom Dadier.
Oh, Jesus.
Right. And I know you and I probably won't get a chance to talk for another. Here, we won't probably get another chance to talk.
Pacom Dadier.
But Pacom Dadier, in my opinion, is going to be better than Sean Elliott of the San Antonio Spurs. Now, I know for some people that don't know who Sean Elliott is, I know Anthony D knows who Sean Elliott is, right? An elite athlete wing with some three-point shooting, some defense, but he thrived on athleticism. I think Pacom Dadier is going to be better than that. I think Pacom Dadier is going to be the Knicks version of Paul George.
I don't know much about the kid outside of what I saw on the footage, and when they drafted him, I was like, all right, they're going to send him out, back home,
right?
And so forth. I hope. I'll have to, take your lead on it. I won't, like I said, what is he, 6'8"?
With handle.
Athletic, handle, can shoot. We hope that, they'll bring him up the pipeline, and, if it's not with us, then, he's in a deal that, that can better us and so forth and so forth, But Sean Elliott was a super big time player.
Yeah.
In college.
Yeah.
That at some point in time, because he hurt that, was it the right knee? I think it's the right knee.
Yeah.
That he got so used to the brace, he just kept wearing it.
Yeah.
All right. Got so used to that brace. And the brace weighs what, 5 pounds, 5 to 8 pounds, something like that. So he's wearing the brace because it was a protective measure. And in his mind, he got used to the brace.
Yeah.
And if you remember this, they were really trying to steer him to Chicago.
Yeah.
I thought Chicago was going to make a move because that was the word to pair him with Jordan and so forth. And somehow San Antonio got in the way.
Yeah.
And he never really became that guy. He was a good piece because he helped them win a championship.
Yeah.
Good piece, but he never really became that guy that we thought he was going to be. But if Paco becomes a Sean Elliott, hey, I'm fine with that. That's a good career trajectory.
Yes,
absolutely,
bro. The athleticism. So here's the thing: he may be. I'm not going to say he's more athletic than Sean Elliott because I hadn't seen Sean Elliott play in quite some time. but what I can say, I
hear he's in the 3-on-3.
Yeah, what I could say is the Knicks have not had an elite athletic small forward, and I'm talking about before this stretch that we're in, right? Before this stretch, because now we have 3 of them:
yes.
Dadier, Bridges, and OG, right? But before this stretch that we're in,
Christmas came early.
Yeah, Christmas came early. Yeah. So, but I just wanted to throw that because I know how some old school Knicks fans don't care about the young players. They care about the moment. I care about the moment, man.
I care about the moment. I care about the young players too. But to this point, and we've mentioned this before. Not because we draft them means that they're going to be here forever.
I understand.
You know, that's something that I hope that Knicks fans will adapt to, that their principles and their philosophies going forward and so forth, and not so much be in these hives with, because a player does something that you like, and you know, it takes a moment to really get on the court, and then when you get on the court, what do you have to offer consistently? See what I'm saying? Like, look at our look at McBride. Look at from whence he came to where he is now. It took some patience.
Yeah.
Took a lot of patience. And for management, especially Tibbs and his coaching staff, to be like, nah, we got something here. We don't know what it is yet. It's not going to materialize right now because a couple of these guys are ahead of him, but we got something here.
Same thing for veterans, though. Just because they're veterans here now, don't mean they're going to be here forever.
It means they're going to be here forever.
Yeah, yeah.
Because when you're trying to win and make this Dallas correlation, and I've said this before, Dallas flipped that team with Dirk at least 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
They just kept flipping it.
Yeah.
Brought in Eric Dampier one year, didn't work out.
Devin, what's the point guard name? Devin, the light-skinned dude, number 34.
Oh, jeez, I'm forgetting his name. Oh my God. He played with the Nets too. Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
They had him. They drafted young wings. Didn't work out. They had my man from Carolina. They ended up trading him to Washington.
Yeah.
Right. They had Steve Nash.
Yeah.
They had Steve Nash and Nick the Quick on the team at the same time.
Yep.
Right. I remember that Steve Nash couldn't even in the crunch moments. Nick the Quick was Nick's time.
Yeah.
But they kept on flipping it because it wasn't working.
Right.
Till they finally got a nucleus that worked, and by that time, Dirk was in his 11th, 12th year, 13th year, maybe.
Dirk was 31 when he won a championship.
Okay. So it takes some time. But anyway, Freezy, great show once again. Everyone, thanks for joining us again. I'm sorry we didn't shout out to the people in the chat. Of course, technical issues and all that. Y'all know what it is. Y'all been here with us. King Ribby, Allah Wise, Danny, Travel Vibes. You know what I mean? Salute to you. Have a great Sunday. We don't know where this journey started, but we know where it ended. It ended with you. Look for me and Uncle Freezy in the whirlwind. Garvey.
Yeah. Look out your window. Knicks fans is on your block. Y'all know the Knicks run the city. Pull them shades back. Look out your window. Look down there on the block. That's Knicks fans right there. It's about that time. It's about that time of the week where you get ready for your work week.